Hello, everyone. I am so pleased today to welcome Hunt Ethridge. Hunt is an award winning dating and relationship expert. He's a matchmaker, writer, entrepreneur, and also interesting, kind of in line with my profession. He runs the Jersey City Dads Group. And, everybody, I have to say, I didn't quite realize what a big name matchmaker we scored until after Hunt said yes. I was kind of reaching out to people a bit randomly, and I just appreciate so much your, yeah, I'll talk to this random person about her dating life on podcast attitude. So, welcome to the show, Hunt. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. I appreciate it. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do, and I love people that are always trying to educate and help other people this crazy life journey. So it's great to be here.
Amazing. And, I've been in the childhood education world for a while, and I've just started meeting matchmakers. And I was listening to a couple interviews you did, and it just strikes me that beyond matchmaking, you're just cultivating love in the world and building community and, making people feel good about themselves. You kind of have been a leader in having matchmakers collaborate and share matches. So it's just really nice energy to be around.
Well, and early education is where it starts. For instance, look at the study that I'm reading
Ooh,
right
yes.
now, which is kindness counts, prompting pro-social behavior in pre-adolescence boosts peer acceptance and well-being. So if we start early and actually teach people how to connect and be friends with each other, it's going to have lasting effects later down the line.
And I guess that starts with matchmaking great parents who are loving to their children.
Well, I mean, if we want to start that way, I mean, one of the things that always kind of like messes with my head, funnily, is that do you know like attachment theory or the book
Oh,
Attached?
yes.
Great, cool, awesome. So my youngest was born March 2nd, 2020.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
So if you want to know how my pandemic was, it was 15 months of that and a 3-year-old. Um, so like it or not, their attachment style was set, locked in with their dad and
Yeah,
mom for 18 months straight. So, let's hope
amazing.
that that ends up being a good secure attachment style and not whatever the pandemic
Oh,
could possibly give to us.
for sure. I mean, I could talk about early child education for 10 hours straight, but I will just say there have been several studies that have shown that children who were born during the pandemic spoke earlier, and I think that stuff definitely lasts for life. We can see in the political scene, I think if some of those people running our country had healthier attachments, it would be a different situation today.
From
Yes,
your
and
lips to the God's ears. So,
Wowzers. Okay, so you are self-proclaimed one of the few straight men in the matchmaking business. How did you get into this field?
so I was going to a therapist over 20 years ago, as we all should, especially the men out there. And, for various and sundries. And she said to me, the men that come in here are broken and I can fix them, but the thing that they want the most is to have a woman by their side, and I can't give them that. You need to figure out a way to monetize this. You know more about this than anybody I've ever met, and the minute you do, I'll refer all of my patients to you.
Whoa.
So hearing three such like resounding pats on the back from a female psychotherapist was at least, the impetus to start the journey. Like, do I know more? Can it be taught? How do you break it down? Is it an art? Is it a science? Like, how do you even focus on it? Like, what do you, so at that point, the only thing that existed was the game, the artistry of pickup artists.
Oh, yes.
So, and that's just, so, a lot of what I was doing there was kind of educating people. This is not what I'm doing. It's something different.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, this is when online dating was still considered taboo and most people were still meeting in real life. And, it was an interesting time. So that's at least, what started the journey on to figure out if this is something to pursue.
amazing. And did you find at that time you were kind of naturally giving your friends advice or setting people up with each other?
I had always found it easy to talk to women because women are 50% of humans. And I like
Mm,
talking to humans. So I would, and I didn't know this at the time, kind of, talked to women with the same energy that I talk to guys in a good way to kind of
Mm,
remove that sort of sexual intent, just
yeah.
like to commune and hang out with a person, which people appreciate just being able to have that. And then just started seeing, I don't know, behind the curtains a little bit of how this whole dance was going and figuring things out. And like, maybe you would be good for him and she would be good for her and what makes a good match,
Mm,
and at first you're thinking it's, interests, and then you realize it's values. And once you start studying anything, I mean, etymology, swimming, whatever it is, you start to get into the intricacies of stuff and you start to kind of see behind the curtains a little bit and it starts to become fascinating, which makes you want to learn even more. And as this is, the number one drive in every animal's brain is to stay alive. The second one is to procreate, to reproduce. So our minds are all
yeah.
messed up on this number two drive, and all of us have had some experience with it. Even no experience is experience with this crazy thing called love. And so I'm just fascinated by it and love studying it and getting into it and figuring out how to bring it to other people because I firmly believe everybody wants someone by their side. Whether or
Amazing.
not they want to do the work to get
Right.
themselves
Yes.
polished up to get there, that's a whole nother topic, but we are physiologically built to share our space with other humans.
Amazing. Yeah, and it just kind of strikes me when you talk about the impulse to live and the impulse to have a mate, is they're also kind of one and the same. There's life and then eternal life. You're passing yourself down through generations, but then also I think ultimately we are all interconnected, and having a companion brings that really home to us. And it's just we're healthy and happy and joyful and amazing. Okay, so I want to give you some context on my situation, and maybe you can give me some tough love or gentle encouragement. Yeah, so I think that, I'm someone who definitely did not put off my career to find love. As soon as I hit 13, I wanted to start dating. I was at a small Montessori school and I went to middle school and I was so excited to date boys. And that just did not happen for me. And then, I think in my 20s, I was kind of, it's like your nightmare client, basically, like terrified to speak to men. I thought men had to chase me. I was thinking, oh, I better be mean and not show I have interest. That way they'll like me more. I wanted to only marry someone who looked like Chris Hemsworth. I mean, just like every kind of wrong thing. And so then I
But
decided,
all the things we've been told to want, taught
exactly.
to want.
That's true, that's true, and I didn't have a father figure growing up, so I kinda had no real mental model of what a relationship was like, so I kind of decided, "Alright, I'm gonna go all in," and I went to this very intensive spiritual, psychological group that lasted 3 years, where people really, did a lot of meditation, a lot of self-reflection, realized, "Okay, I need to fill myself up if I want a partner," and then I did, a lot of books, Calling in the One about 3 times. And eventually actually hired a dating coach, and that was a huge breakthrough for me because I had this idea that first of all, I was unlovable. Like, that's why, like, they must be like, none of my friends are gonna tell me that I'm butt ugly because they don't wanna hurt my feelings,
You're dealing with the
Like,
data you're presented with, and you're just like, okay,
exactly. So
not
then in
true,
my
but I 100% understand it.
Yep, yep. So in my 30s, I was like, okay, the dating coach, she really pushed me to go out and start meeting people, use the apps. I also was like, apps, I would never do that. So unromantic, the whole thing. So I started and I realized, okay, one guy I like, he's not into me. One guy's into me, I'm not into him. That's how this works. And then 1 out of 10, you maybe get up to date 3 or date 4. And then I read Datanomics by John Berger. I'll get to the point. And I realized that New York was just a bad place for women to date. So I went to San Francisco and I continued upon this path of, I'm gonna say, like, every day I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna meet men, and I'm going to go on dates. And started that January 1st, January 9th, I had a boyfriend. Serious relationship. It ended for very sad reason, which is that he had an addiction and it wasn't something that he was able to
Love
overcome.
doesn't conquer all, unfortunately, which
It
sucks.
doesn't. Yeah, and so that was tragic. There was a child involved and Really awful. So I think that now where I am is that I feel like I'm really all in on looking for character. I'm 44. I have my eggs frozen, they're nicely put away for the right person. I've spoken to fertility specialists, like there's plenty of people who would say it's crazy to want to get married and have kids at 44, but I know it happens. And I think that this is like, okay, you know what? I have tried a lot of things and I haven't met my person, but, I think that there's kind of this idea that women are told, like, if you don't think about love or wanting someone and you just go about your life and do nothing, that's when it happens. Whereas men are told, this is how you smile when you stand in line to pick someone up. So
Yeah,
maybe.
might think that we're getting a lot of that information, but we're not.
Okay, so all that to say, this is my question for you. Okay, first of all, tell me, are you kind of more motivated by like negative things, like if you don't do this, there's an apocalypse, or positive things like you'll get $1 million if you do this?
I come I come from and I like to teach to come from a place of yes,
Okay.
because you can still say the same information. But like if I read a profile that says, I don't date players, I don't date broke people, I don't like running, immediately I'm like, you could say, I love and value strong relationships.
Yes.
I love a man that can take care of himself. I am much more of a homebody and enjoy
Yes.
reading books in
Yes.
front of a fire. Saying the same thing, but coming from a place of yes as opposed to a place of no.
I love that.
Also, there used to be a dating coach, Kevin Samuelson, and he was just a jackass. He's dead now. But like, he would throw a brick at your
You can't.
face, and like, yeah, that'll teach you to duck, but
Yeah.
now, you're bruised and broken. I think there's other ways of getting your point across,
Okay. Well,
and
I actually
so
asked you for a different reason, which is that I want to know what motivates you because I'm going to give you a hypothetical scenario. Let's say that I said, "Okay, Hunt, I'm gonna hire you, and if you can find me my dream husband in 90 days, you will get multi-generational wealth for your whole family." So you'll like you'll have everything you need for the rest of your life, and then also it'll bear interest, so all the generations to come will be set. Like, go. What would you do?
I'd have to check the clauses of the contract closely. Um, because look, is that possible? Totally. Completely. Like, for example, if you said
Mhm.
to yourself, just making stuff up,
Right.
I need to lose 50 pounds in 6 months.
Yes.
If you had the frame that was supporting an extra 50 pounds, you could absolutely do it. It's just going to take a vast change in daily habits,
Yeah.
motivations, how you approach life, your own ego,
Yeah.
all of these things. And you can absolutely go out there with that intention to absolutely do that. And we have clients that come in. There's a difference between I've made a decision to get married this year, which
Yeah.
we get a lot too. It's like,
Right.
I'm 35.
Well,
This
my
is the year
vision.
I get married. Like, doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But we do get I have a nutritionist, a personal trainer, a career coach, and a therapist, and I'm hiring you because I want to be married in under a year. Like, fuck yeah. Now, this is the type of person I want to work with because they understand motivation, challenge, sacrifice, drive, realistic expectations. So, yeah, it would be yes and. Could I do it? Yes. And as long as people are willing to go as far down that pathway as they are able to.
Okay, so my next question is how? Because I'll just tell you as an example. I decided, okay, I really want to find someone, and so I'm going to move to Austin, Texas, because I heard that that's where there's the highest number of educated 40-year-old world relative to women. I'm going to live at a Zen center so that I can be constantly cultivating my inner peace and my well-being, and I'm going to go on a date every single day. And I'm just going to go out with basically anyone who meets the basic criteria of looking for a partner. And, and so I did that. It was very hard. And I mean, and this thing gets at a point in my life where I perceive back that I'm in shape. I look nice. I can carry on a conversation. So anyway, I didn't meet someone. So I'm wondering now what I did wrong. Like, okay, so I'll just tell you, maybe you could help me. So I am a bit of a matchmaker myself in that I match parents with tutors. And my approach, I've written it all out. Anyone can do it. They just don't necessarily have the time. And I just for example, one parent wanted me to find a rock climbing instructor for his child who's on the autism spectrum. So I went to they live in I went to the local university. I found out people who were on the rock climbing team and had expertise in children on the spectrum. And within 24 hours, I found him an amazing rock climbing instructor. So I just don't. I have so much drive, and I just don't know how to apply that effectively to my dating life. I don't know the how.
100%, 100%. Because and I'm not saying this is you necessarily.
You can
try not to
tell
make
me anything.
generalizations, in
Just
this thing
so
as well
open
too.
to
But
feedback. Yeah,
many
please.
times, for instance, as an example, many times successful women have found in the business world, if they show vulnerability, it can be perceived as weakness. So they
Mm,
learn to kind of wall that off a bit. They
yeah.
succeed, they become boss babes or whatever. And then they say, okay, these skill sets have made me successful in this particular area of life. Let me try to replicate them in this other area of life and see if it works the same way. It doesn't.
Wow.
But then it becomes confusing because you don't know why or how or where. Um, I equate it to kind of being a personal trainer as a dating coach, in that when you go to the gym, most of us know how to use the machines pretty well. Not
Mhm.
100% best, but pretty well. However, sometimes we can be accidentally using a machine incorrectly, and it's actually hurting us as opposed to helping us. And when you can kind of get in there and like shift a few things in real time, then that can make all the difference. For instance, like there's a phrase in New
Mm,
York City: men don't want to date a businesswoman, we want to date a woman in business. And that's the same woman
mm,
with a different mindset or forward facing facet. That's not someone who diminishes themselves, just switches. I call them facets. We all have facets, just like gems. The more facets we have, the more brilliantly we shine. If I go to a party in Brooklyn one night and I go to a party on the Upper East Side the next night, I'm going to dress a little differently. I'm going to bring up slightly different topics of conversation
yeah.
because I have my Brooklyn facet facing forward. I'll grow my facial hair out a little bit, wear some
Yeah.
corduroy, talk about pilsners. We go to the Upper East Side. I'll wear my skinnier jeans and a nice button down and talk about equity.
Starbucks.
Because
Yeah.
they're different facets of the same person. And so a
Yeah.
lot of times the burning skill set underneath is wonderful. It's great. It's exactly what you need. But the way that it comes out may not necessarily be what is perceived the way you want it to be perceived. So if you can
Mhm.
sometimes just switch some things around, for instance, like we hear, ask questions. Guys don't ask questions to each other. We feel like we're interrogated. So we like
Mm,
pull back,
yeah.
I had a dude call me 2 nights ago that I haven't talked to in a year. Calls me up. Hey, man, remember that thing you did with the yachtings years ago? Whatever happened with that? Oh, yeah. So I started like, we didn't ask one question, didn't ask how we caught up. How is he? What's he doing? How's his job? How's his family? That's not important. As important to us. So learning different communication
Yeah.
styles, learning the different ways to show love. Also the different ways to show how a person fits in. Because here's the thing too. You have the person, boss babe, shows no vulnerability.
Mm,
I'm out at a party. I'm looking across from her. Statistically speaking, I may not even make as much as her anymore.
right.
So I don't make as much at her. She looks awesome, really well put together, no vulnerability. I see no place for myself.
Yeah.
I don't feel like getting shot down again for the 100th time. So I'm just going to avoid the situation.
You know what?
So
It's so
herein
funny.
lies the difficulty of showing yourself as a strong,
Yeah,
successful woman
exactly. I think
that
it's funny.
also is
Yeah.
looking to fill a space next to them to have a strong and successful person as well too. A question I ask, and this is both a pithy, overused, but actual serious question that I ask all of my women is, what do you want? I know it's a, well, women don't know what they want. But for instance, like, is it trust? Is it love? Is it children? Is it a partner? Is it an equal? And we'll go through a lot of these because they're not all going to be in the same one. But
Person,
if we
yeah.
can figure out what the most important thing is at the heart, at the core, then we can start to circle around. Because it used to be this core was survivability, economic viability. You needed to have that core. Can this man provide for me? That's gone now. Now, what do you want? And
Mhm.
basically, many women have found what they want is an emotionally intelligent, relatively successful partner. However, we spent the last 20 years building, making women be able to stand on their own 2 feet and have completely neglected teaching men how to be emotionally intelligent. And here we
Absolutely.
are.
Yeah, and here you are. I mean, I can really see the value of working with a male coach because, I mean, also the value of working with a women coach, but especially for someone like me and
I
many
think both
other women
sides.
who didn't have a father, who don't have a lot of male friends. It's so valuable. And one of the things you make me think about is how there was a period in life. I was a relatively successful child actress in my hometown, and I didn't have a lot of friends. And I, attributed that to jealousy and being kind of an odd duck. And I remember at one point in my 20s, I was talking to someone who I really wanted to be friends with, and I was having a bad day. And she said, "How are you?" And instead of saying, "I'm great," I just started crying. And that was the beginning of like my first best friendship. And it was this huge wake up call that it wasn't being perfect.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, I was actually being imperfect that attracted me to people, and I think that I've almost gotten too good at dating, where, like, all these men come on my dates and they're, like, practically shaking, and I'm like, "You've got it, five-star date. Here, let me kiss you. We're good." But, I will say, Hunt, that I could be I mean, I'm very open to like, I wanna know all my blind spots, right? But what I have observed is that men seem very eager to, have me on like second dates. I get approached by men in the wild, especially if I'm kind of doing manifesting or whatever. I mean, a lot of the time.
Especially in that green dress as well.
Well, Maria, the matchmaker, says green means go. So I just wore it just for you.
Ray
So,
is a friend of mine. I
so
know. I saw, and I also saw your
thank
thrift
you.
store haul. So I saw what it
Yes.
looked like when you were wearing it. So
Yes,
yes.
it's very nice one. Yeah, very I wore this just for you. So you would think about a nice guy for me. So
Yeah.
I was thinking, but I feel like I am maybe it's totally wrong again. I might have a blind spot, but I kind of feel like I'm meeting the wrong people. Like these are my last three guys. One it was his first day out of a divorce. He, like, had apparently such an amazing time with me, and then I think he got some kind of cold feet, and nothing happened between the dates. But also there was a little bit of a red flag, which is said, like, he didn't talk to his mom because she thought she was a bitch, and I was like, "Mm." He didn't talk to his ex-wife. And then the guy before that, was mentally ill, like, not like, diagnosed, and it was just too much for me to feel like I wanted to enter into that again. And then the guy before that was, he was like video game addict player. I slept with him and then like a week later he texted me like where are you with 10 U's. So I think that this is not really the right kind of people to meet. And so there is, I can just keep going on these apps till kingdom come. But I was kind of curious about where like, that's what I was saying, like, if you were my matchmaker, where would you look? Like, should I interview the yacht club owner? I went to CrossFit, I sprained my neck. Speaking of not being ready for certain activities, I was like, "I'm gonna go to CrossFit, meet men," and then, like, I dropped a barbell on my neck. So, yeah, where would you go? Like, how would you find these gems? Do they even exist? Like, kind, stable, wants to be married.
Yeah,
Where are
easy. No problem. Because if we
Okay,
knew
tell me,
that,
tell me.
right, everybody
Where
would
is
just
it?
suddenly like this comes back to the issue of what does one want And I'll step back further, because if we go back
Yeah.
to, pre-1974, women couldn't have a bank account.
But for
So
me,
what
it's
is it that women were
actually
looking for
marriage,
specifically? A
trust.
provider, economics. So
Yeah.
you would go to the Rotary Club,
Rotary Club.
the Yacht Club,
The yacht.
the Polo Club, the
Okay.
places where economically successful men would go to. This makes sense. We're still stuck in that right now. Because if you want an emotionally intelligent person, that's not the same place that the economically successful person is going to be.
Well,
Now,
what do we define as emotional intelligence? Because I feel like I have a lot of emotional intelligence to spare. And the thing is
somebody
like I
that
know
you don't have to take care of
yeah.
emotionally, somebody that has done the inner work, someone that enjoys spending
Okay.
time with, someone that's not a fixer-upper. That's
Yeah.
it, basically. Um, and again, it goes back to like if you like chill, easygoing, laid back mentality, more of a dude's dude, you could go to sports bars. That's where you're not going to find the most intelligent guy. I'm
Like, where this
assuming and overgeneralizing, but you're going to find guys that might be really easy to get along with. If you want trust, you've been cheated on. You value trust and integrity more than anything else. I check out the Better Business Bureau or something like that in your town. If you value compatibility, not necessarily equality, meaning like I need to find a man that fits with me, doesn't necessarily, as long as he can support himself, doesn't need to make as much as me, then check out open night at musicians. You know, so again, what
Hmm.
I don't want to say what hole are you trying to fill because we shouldn't really have holes. What type of person do you want to have standing next to you? And then
Hmm.
we would start to reverse engineer who this person is. And then once we start to know who this person is a little bit more, what does a person like this do in their day? How does this person unwind? Where does this person go? What types of friends does this person have? And that's where we start to focus on where to
Hmm.
spend your time, my time, when we can understand each other's desires and knowledge more so. But yeah, this is hard. It used to be go where the money is, right? Go where people are successful. Go to the Wall Street bars, you know? You'll find successful people there. You'll also find type A assholes that are going to cheat on their wife. I've been there with them. They're fun to hang out with, and I watch them cheat on their wife.
And
So
I
again, there's something Dr. Helen Fisher had something called complementary characteristics.
hmm.
And for instance, if you are a semi-professional athlete, okay, you probably more in tune with the physical world, less in tune with the emotional world. You value highly active things in life, less book reading, more chopping wood. Um, you may not be as intelligent. And we can go through a bunch of these things. If you're a person that's a college professor, you probably enjoy reading. You probably enjoy quiet time. You enjoy debating and finding people that know things that you don't. Both of these things are not going to really exist in the same person. And so we hear sometimes people say, like,
Hmm.
I want an alpha man that's emotionally intelligent. Well, it's like, they're not, that's not,
Supply is limited.
I
To
want a professional athlete that's a chess master. Well, it's like, well, that's good luck. So trying to figure out exactly what it is, is hard. Also, there's a primitive part of our brain that reacts first in less than 10 milliseconds. The medulla
absolutely.
oblongata, the ancient part of our brain. What does the
Hmm.
person smell like? What does they look like? What can we do? We
Mhm.
immediately the physical have attraction towards them? That's your animal part of you that's reacting to that. Then we have the cerebellum and the cerebrum, which are the front parts of the brain, which is conversation, intelligence, stuff like that. And then like oh, I'm not really attracted to this guy right at the beginning, but the more he talks, ooh, now I'm getting over that because this part of my brain is so attracted. Reverse, like, oh man, this guy I used to coach this like 6 foot tall Australian dude. And everybody would come up to him like, hi, and then as he would talk, like you would just see like their interest like go down because he hit the primitive part, but then they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, this guy is not. And so again, overgeneralizing part of the woman's brain that wants the ancient, more tough, once ovulating masculine man to fuck is not the same man that the cerebrum and the cerebellum are attracted to spending time with. Now,
Well,
there's ways you attach, for instance, people that have been in emotionally abusive relationships, when they're in a stable relationship, they feel it's boring because they haven't connected the neurons and the synapses of stability and relaxation with positiveness.
yes. Can I just ask a point of clarification? Because you've
Please.
given me so much. And thank you for helping our explicit rating on Apple Podcasts. If you like this podcast, by the way, please subscribe. My best friend said I have to say that every show. Anyway, okay. So I really want to get clear on this compatibility issue because, as I said, for someone who I've had, one and a half serious boyfriends, I've made so many lists of the partners and done different exercises. Actually, Talia Goldstein from 3 Day Rule gave me a really good one recently, which was to think about what I enjoy in my friends because we're complementary. So I feel like I don't I don't necessarily I mean, I am an entrepreneur and I have had, some success and attention, but I feel like I only became an entrepreneur because I wasn't making enough money as an actress. And so there was a period of my life where I felt like I'd be very happy being a stay-at-home
Oh,
mom.
wait, we have more in
We
common
have
than
a
you
lot in
think.
common. Yeah, because I know you've done breath work and you do so I guess I feel like if you're right, like, if I got clear on who that guy is, then I could understand where to go, how to stalk my partner before I meet him. But I feel like so I think but it's just really hard to I mean, I think everything you say is true, like, I want absolutely, monogamy is very important to me. I mean, I'm a pretty how well, you just said something explicit, so I'll say, like, I'm a sexual person, like, I'm not an addict, but, like, I think men like that, and I think that also I have a little funny hack for women, I think that if you can kind of become more horny, it helps you be attracted to more kind people. Because I did IVF twice, and I noticed that I was, like, attracted to every single
I always appreciated a woman with an honest sex drive.
yeah, so I just don't know, like so, I mean, love and trust, monogamy, I mean just, like, it would be nice to have someone who is a little bit more organized about money than me, like, but I don't expect someone to necessarily have that.
Well, see, here now you're talking about compatibility
Um,
again, and
call
here's the
me on my
thing.
stuff. Call me on my stuff. Yeah,
You're right, asterisks.
asterisk.
Okay, compatibility isn't about the interests, it's about the values. So, for
Mm,
instance, hi, I used to be poor, and when I get a little bit of
right.
extra money, I like to put it away
Mm,
because it makes me know I have something for the rainy day. Great, great value system, nothing wrong with that. Hi, I'm poor, and when I have a little bit of extra, I grew up poor, and when I have a little bit of extra money, I like to splurge on something for myself to let me know that I'm worth it because I never had anything like that as a child. That's also a
mm,
fair value. But
yeah.
these two value systems, even though you came from same, co-op poor background, the way that you value money is very different. And so I don't know if that can be compatible necessarily.
Right, so I guess really where the shit hits the fan is the person that I'm with has to have some level of curiosity. I dated a lot of guys in Italy this summer who were just not they weren't even willing to talk about women's issues at all, even tip the iceberg, like, "Oh, have you thought about" like, they would say something like, "Oh, every woman gets mad when a man approaches her at a bar," and I'd say, "Yeah, that's so frustrating. I tell my female friends they should be more grateful, but, some women have had sexual violence." I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know," just like,
Well,
at least have a conversation.
Italian men are not high on the list of
No,
ones that you're going to
no,
meet
no,
that are
no,
going to meet you.
no, no, I mean, I
Spanish
just
men and them could have a few
stubbornness.
I lived in France as well too. I traveled around
Oui,
too. Je
nous
parle
parlons
français.
français tous les
Oui,
2,
oui,
oui,
bien sûr.
oui, bien sûr.
Est-ce que tu peux
Oui,
lire
j'ai
ça?
vu l'affiche.
T'as vu ça?
Oui, recommence souvent et finalement trouve sa voie. Échouer parfait. Échouer, try sometimes, start again, start often, and at last you'll find your way.
Tu
I
sais
like that.
c'est quoi ça?
C'est une citation. Is it a
C'est le
quote?
motto de l'école tour que tu attendais. C'est l'école à Paris,
Oh my
c'est
gosh,
ça le
le cours
motto
Florent.
de l'école.
That's le cours Florent. Wow.
Oui, oui,
Oh my gosh,
that's the
incroyable.
motto.
Wild. That's and you even know my French
Because it's
accent.
also relates to exactly what we're talking about right now.
So what do you think what kind of guy do you think would be compatible for
So
me?
obviously, I can't armchair diagnose you
That's
through the
fair.
camera. Here's the thing, too. One of the things I love to do, and we can do this, is I
Mhm,
take people out into the real world to practice,
mhm,
to go in, not necessarily to meet guys or meet girls, to go practice the things that we've been working on. Let's ask positive emotional questions. Let's refine that story that you're working on that makes you look really cool. Let's figure out how to approach different groups of people, stuff like that. Because I have found what people say their weaknesses or challenges are and what they actually are may not be the same thing. There's a self-awareness that
brilliant.
comes, I believe that you have a large amount of self-awareness, but sometimes it can be like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, okay, so
I
right.
haven't met my goal, and so there's stuff to work on. That's how I
See,
see
that's the
it.
thing about being a coach too, is like what you know the power, there's always something to work on. All of us, myself
Mhm,
included, could stand to use a little polish. Basically, 80% of what I teach is just how to be a better human being. It's not really about the dating so much. It's how to connect with other people, how to draw out what's important, how to show that you have value, how to discern whether the people you're talking to have the right value systems for you. All of those things.
mhm.
For instance, if you want a man that is a family man,
Yeah.
whatever that means to you, if you ask him, are you a family man? What's he going to say?
I mean, if he wants to sleep with me, probably yes.
Exactly. He's going to say whatever he thinks you want to hear.
I
That's
love
it.
family.
Right? Because it's too direct of
Family's
a
the
question.
best.
But if you learn to ask tangential questions around that,
Mhm.
that's going to fill in the information. What would you do if you won $1 million? Well, I'd help my cousins. Interesting. What was your favorite memory from childhood? Oh, well, my mom and I used to bake 30 dozen cookies and bring them up and down the well, this guy sounds like, and he's not even realizing that he's giving out all of this information. And so you're figure I want to know what his value system with money is. Great. What's your value system with money? Not going to go anywhere, even if they know how to answer that. But you get a
Yes.
couple of tangential questions, you can start to hear how his answers start to build upon that. So again, it
Mhm.
all starts to come back with, and that's why working with a coach and or a matchmaker is important because we can help you with this. Like, what is it that we want to look for first? Focus on what parts of you do you want to showcase first the most? Let's see how that goes. Let's get some date feedback. I love
Mhm.
getting date feedback because it's morbidly hilarious sometimes to see like I had such a great date. She was awesome. I can't wait to see her again. The woman's is like, he never let me speak. He didn't ask me one question. I never want to see him again. And so it's just interesting to see how just a different dynamic that it is between the two.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I got a text from this guy I dated, and he said, he texted me immediately after the date, being like, "Wow, I that was such a wonderful date, and I think you liked it too. It was so erotic, and you're so pretty, and I can't wait to see you Sunday because we had a date planned." And then Thursday, I get a message from him saying, "I just had a meeting, and I have to work at the hospital, so I'm going to be probably sleeping all day Sunday, but I'll let you know Sunday." And then, did he let me know Sunday? Yes.
You don't let someone know the day of. Yeah, I know.
But I don't know, I really like this. Okay, so I think you've given me something really actionable to take away with is the vulnerability piece. I mean, even when talking about money, I think you're right, I don't know my weaknesses, but, for example, like, sometimes it can be really sexy when you say, "I'm working on my startup, and it's been a little bit challenging me for me to fundraise," and then the guy can weigh in and say, "Oh, well, you know what? It's not about you. If you try this technique and that technique, you'll get there," and then I'm like, "Mm." Nice. And I kind of have learned about his idea about money, and he's seen, oh, he has a role in helping me as well. And then in terms of just I don't know, because it seems like you're pretty not into apps. Like, I think you even just gave a talk recently about AI in dating, and I'm kind of feeling like, how is an AI in a dating app gonna help me? I don't think so. And, like, what do
Hey,
you
look,
just
it's a
live
tool.
in the
It's a
wild.
hammer, right? If I have a hammer, I can build a house and I can destroy everything around me, depending on how I use it. The
Yeah.
apps are a tool. The point of the apps is to extract wealth. That's it. That's full stop. That's the point of the apps.
For the CEO of Tinder, not for me.
From you,
Yes,
from
to extract
you.
wealth
The
from
point is to
me.
extract wealth from you. There's no
Yes.
point. Is the point? I've read their earnings reports. I know in their own words. For instance, in Q3, we are going to focus on incentivizing current current customers as opposed to new customers. What does that say? We're going to try to drain more money out of the people that we already have. The goal is not like, look, if they were really good at their job, you'd find love and you'd leave and you wouldn't pay money. If they were really
Exactly.
bad at their job, it sucked being on there. You would take your money away and they wouldn't leave. So they actively shoot for middling experience. So you stay on there for about 3 months. And then because every app is owned by one of two companies, you stop using one app and then you pay to use another app. Guess you just got paid twice because you got bored with the first one. Same
Terrible.
company. So
Horrible.
as
Yeah.
long as you know all these things going into it and use it to your benefit and go in intentionally, it's a great tool to use.
It
That
is? I
being
mean, how
said,
do
it
you
can do
use
damage to your ego and a lot of other stuff if you're not using it well.
so if I were to go on, well, Hinge or Bumble tonight, if I were to go on Bumble tonight, how could I extract value from Bumble instead of giving Bumble my money?
Again, it'd have to be a longer conversation because it'd be like, let's see what your forward facing profile is. What is this image projecting? Who are the people that you're attracting with it? What are
I
the
don't have
type
any
of
problems,
messages?
like, getting dates, like, everybody swipes on me. I look great, the profile's great, I'm getting dates, it's just I'm getting dates with the people that I like. I don't know. They're just the wrong I don't know.
Well, I would
I think
like to get more into it with you too, because like obviously there's something that's just not quite clicking
yeah,
somewhere along the process, you know.
you
And if you can
know.
get those pistons firing, you know, then everything is going to work much, much smoother. Like you've already got most of the way there that a lot of people struggle with. So
Yeah.
now if we're hitting something, then we know we just need to figure out what this is. And then we've got the energy and stamina to keep it going.
I think I need to figure out what places I should be hanging out.
But now, again, ask yourself, is the person I want to marry going to be hanging out at this place? That, and if it's yes, then it's yes. If it's no, then it's no. If you want to, and I'm making shit up. If you want to date a guy with a private plane, he's not going to be at McSorley's.
Well, I'm very pro environment, so I think a no on the private plane, but I would say yes to a large foundation maybe.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it is about putting yourself out there. It's also about letting everybody that you know that you're looking and available. Which can be
Well,
embarrassing to
I'm
people.
definitely doing that one.
Good to
Every
know.
matchmaker in the world is gonna know I'm looking for a husband.
It's great. We'll get you up on a billboard soon.
Lots of love to share. Okay, that's all right. Well, okay, so I mean, I feel like is there any way besides writing down the qualities? I don't know, it's just I find that so hard. Like, is there something I could just kinda make a list? Like, think like another strategy is looking at other people, like, "Oh, wow, Hunt seems like a great guy, and my cousin's husband seems awesome." Like, making a list of those guys
What
and
is
then
yeah, what is the value you see in that person that you think makes it or in their relationship that makes a good relationship? I like how they communicate. Cool. We can focus on people that, communicate well,
mhm.
you know. I love how he silently does all of the things around the house without needing to be asked. That's cool. Let's find someone whose love language is acts of service,
Mm,
and so those little things of seeing what you like from other and don't like, from other things as well too, is going to help you. And then once you know what you want, it's easier to have your own boundaries. And when someone's like, well, why don't you do this instead? Like, no, 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 we'll do Friday or Saturday. If you want to do Wednesday or Thursday, I appreciate it. I'll just find someone else that wants to meet me out on a Friday or Saturday.
Mm,
Oh, damn. Okay, well, I can probably clear my Friday off. Okay.
yeah. Okay, can we talk about sex a little bit?
Let's talk about sex,
Let's talk about
baby. Let's talk about you and
Yes.
me.
So I feel that, and I know there are a lot of people watching who've had the same experience, that once things get sexual, men can kind of disappear, not kind of, completely. And I have learned that it's good to delay as much as you might be really excited. And I saw your great tip to start with a coffee date so it doesn't even enter into the mentality, or an afternoon date, pool date. And then to kind of not do dinner until at least date 3. But I then there's like, okay, it's day 3, and I've been through so many awkward periods where I'm gonna be honest, I just like, "Okay, everything but penetration," and then he'll stick around. No, that does not work. In fact, like, I had an experience where a guy got really mad at me, and it was very confusing and upsetting. On one
Because
hand,
why specifically?
well, because, like, I led him up to everything, and then when it came, like, for penetration, he was like, "What?" I thought this was gonna go one way, and then now I have blue balls, and I'm in pain. I mean, he was a very weird guy, like, he thought he was Jesus. It was complicated. I've had some strangies. But, yeah, so then I don't know. So I feel like, I have this weird thing where it's like, "Okay, I want this, but I'm gonna be holding back, but I'm trying not to hold back in an awkward way." And, and then another part of me says, "Well, maybe if the guy was really interested in something long term, he would stick around after that." So it's actually I'm still going after the wrong type of people. So I'm just kind of curious
It's a
what your
mix
thoughts
of both.
are.
It's a mix
Mhm.
of both a little bit. Um, I became monogamous with my wife before we had sex.
Oh, for
Does that
sure.
work for everybody? No, but I had done X amount of ways the other way. So I was just like, let me see just for shits and giggles to see what happens doing this way. This has just worked for me on one time. It's not a general thing. But a couple things at play here. Yes, once, sometimes, met. If there is not an emotional connection built yet, once the physical has happened, that like it's physiologically built different ways. Women, when we have sex, you have oxytocin, which kind of is a bonding chemical.
Yeah, even if I
Men,
kiss
we
someone.
like have sex and like fall asleep and want to like ditch out because like we have different things flooding our brain. We can get over that because we're thinking creatures. I'm not saying that that's the only way to rely. However, yes, that's one thing. You need to start building that emotional basis first. Number two, many, many, many men consider touch, sexuality equals like and love. If you are not touching them or giving them anything, you don't like them.
Yeah.
One, that's their issue to deal with, but it's an issue and you're dealing with it. So, how do we deal with that? Don't give them blue balls. There's a lot of other ways to not have blue balls. There's hands, there's mouths, there's toys. Look, I didn't, my wife and I were not celibate at all. In fact, every time that we were together, we would just kind of almost do a little bit more, did almost like high school style, like, okay, just
Hmm.
the tongue, just once. Um,
But you had a conversation about it first. That's I think, and you
yeah,
were kind of
yeah,
leading
yep,
the way a
yep.
little bit with
And
that.
see, and you can, the man needs to know that you find him sexually desirable and want to
Absolutely.
bang the crap out of him,
Absolutely.
just
I think that's so I
down the line.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
example, blah, 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 blah. Hey, can I come up tonight? You know
Mm,
what?
tempting, but
Someday soon, I'm
yeah.
gonna break your hips, and I'm looking forward to it. But tonight is too soon. It's just not how I like to roll. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. So tonight, I'll give you two squeezes, and then we'll say goodnight. One.
I'm just thinking about my friends listening to you say that right now. They're gonna freak out. But no, but I have to say that is so true. I will validate that because I've learned that I have to say at least one thing in the date. Like, because sometimes you're attracted to a guy on a second date and not the first date. So even if I'm kind of like, I don't know, I have to say something like, that shirt's hot. It can be the stupidest thing. Or just go in and kiss
We
him.
are
Like,
so starved for nice things.
yeah.
Yeah, just give us one or two, and
Just something to make him feel like this isn't just someone who doesn't like me or just sees me as a friend. It has to be
it
there
has to
has
be
to
like
be
basically hitting them with a brick because men are dumb. Obviously not. I'm
you
general, but like you are You are hot. I like your hair. Oh my God. Okay. So basically, we need to know that you like us and want to see us and that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Haha, tunnel. But um,
there is.
it doesn't have to happen now. And that lets me also know your boundary. And that
Yeah.
lets you know whether this guy's going to be okay with that boundary. That all being said, I had a friend, female friend, my age, who it's like, I'm not going to sleep with a guy until month 3. And for her, not sleeping with the guy was nothing. And like all the guys were leaving, and me and my other guy friend were like, yeah, because like men are horny, man. And like if there's zero, zero, nothing at all, yeah, they're gonna look for options elsewhere. Sex doesn't mean all, I mean, like, so in that particular situation, one, the guy shouldn't have been pressuring you. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's just stupid. But like, you know what? We'll do the same. But here, let me just all right. Yeah, I can understand that. Here we go. And I look forward to that going somewhere else the next time.
That's so good.
Um,
Because then they also kind of get anyway, oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, listen,
you
but
asked the
even
question.
in a hand job, guys still have that detachment sometimes after sex. Like, if they get the release, then they get the detachment. But without going too far into that, so I'm in Croatia right now. I'm a nomad, so I just can meet someone anywhere, anytime, and I really like Croatian guys. I mean, they're used to women just holding out for 6 months. They are just that's their culture. And Italian guys obviously are the worst. I mean, I dated some of the most unappealing men in Italy who just never even asked me on a second date, even though I was just charming to boot. And they were so like this is Croatians, I almost always get on a second date. They're very polite. They're amazing at bed. Oh my God. You could tell your women friends that. But like, I don't know. I feel like, what do you think about, because you've coached women all over the world, what are the best cities to meet men? Come on. I mean, San
Here's the
Francisco's
thing, too.
better
This is
than New York.
why.
Sure. There's
So, in my
gotta
quest for advice, my goal is to talk to one person in every country in the world about what dating and relationships are like in their area because it all is going to come down. Okay, so dating is a mix of biology, sociology, psychology, and anthropology. By definition, so is everything we do because they're basically the 4 tenets of humanity. I bring this up because I understand our motivations and the rhythms and reasons underneath everything that we do. We have to focus on different aspects of these at different times so we can understand why we do the things so then we can maximize our benefits and minimize our losses. Big sentence. What this means is culture is so overlaid. What an ideal man is in Japan is exactly the opposite of what an ideal man is in America. For instance, example, and again, I'm over. Look this up. In Japan and in a lot of Eastern Asia, there is a phrase: the nail that stands out gets hammered.
well, people
Because
are
what
very
is valued?
ChatGPT fans.
Conformity, not making waves, not being about you, being about the collective, all family. Your needs don't matter. Then you come
Mhm.
to New York City, where it's a completely individual, like, boo, 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 fuck you, I'm walking here. And the goal is to be as noticed as possible, create as much waves as possible, draw as many eyes to you. That's
Yeah.
astound. That's completely 180. So whatever your particular vibe and personality is might work well in city A and might completely work against you in city B and might make all the women competitive with you in city C because you're doing something that they're not doing. So again, we'd have to go like you want a manly man? Yeah, Austin's probably going to get you closer to that. Are they going to be more conservative and less emotionally intelligent? Probably, but more manly. Do you want does talking late at night about the intricacies of Nietzsche excite you? Go to Boston. They love it up there. They're wicked. They're wicked cool about talking about stuff like that. Lots of colleges, lots of smart people, wicked smart. So again, comes back to the core of what it is that you want. Do you like outside? Go to Minnesota.
Well,
Do you like
yeah.
being a socialite? Do you want to be Carrie Bradshaw? Move to Soho. You know, so again, it's hard to say what cities are best for you because all those things are going to be site dependent, personality dependent, religion dependent, society dependent. Um, hey, if you go to like uh, South America, all the dudes would probably be too short for you, and they'd look at you as like an Amazon, but they'd be like
Um,
masculine and treat you well.
I'm
So
not very tall. Okay, what about we're masculine, kind, and marriage-minded. Kindness is
again, if we knew this,
everybody would
we'd have
Okay,
the
so
fast
is there a
lane
shortage of good men?
there's good men everywhere. It's just a matter of again, where do you find them? So the
Where do
goal is
you
basically to reverse engineer the type of person that you would like to meet.
Mhm,
What does this person do? Where do they volunteer? Who do they donate? Where do they physically spend time? What type of activities do they enjoy? What type of conversations do they like? And then one thing I always ask everyone, all of my clients, I don't want you to answer this question. I want you to think about this question. If
mhm.
your Apollo, your Aphrodite walked in right now into the room you were in, would you earn them? What do you have that everybody in this room does not, that's going to keep their attention? What is your
Oh,
competitive advantage? And again, I don't want an answer. It's just a thought question, a thought process, because as you know too, step one, find the person I'm attracted to. Step two, see if they're attracted to me. So at its core,
for
dating is about
sure.
value. I want to find someone that I see value in and at the same time demonstrate my own value so that people that see my value will be attracted to my values. Easy,
Absolutely.
no problem, right?
Okay. So I know you're very busy matchmaking the people of the world, so I don't want to hold you longer than you can stay, even though I would definitely keep you for 11 hours or more. All right, but since you're not willing to tell me what type of man I should be looking for, I'm going to cheat a little bit and to ask you if you were a 44-year-old woman and you were looking for your ideal man, where would you go to find him? Specific
Well,
spots, countries, locations, and
the
organizations.
funeral parlor, fine. Dude, you want to talk serious? Look at the obituaries.
Widows. That's how people find
Figure out,
apartments
like, because
in New
right,
York.
the widow is like, right, prime gold material because they've
Mhm.
been vetted by a woman. They haven't been divorced. I said, you want to get serious, like there are ways to do this, and then, I was reading a post on Reddit yesterday, speaking of funerals. My grandmother said, like, why don't you have married to someone? I was like, I didn't meet anyone. She's like, I was bored one day and I walked into a funeral and I met somebody there. I married him. Like, okay, that woman was serious. She went to, okay. So, other than that, maybe if you want a family man, many 44-year-old men have children. Start hanging out at Little League games. You're going to meet single dads, the ones that
Ooh.
are there working and
As a
volunteering.
woman, you could do that without being creepy.
You
Man,
got to
it's a
make the
little hard.
decision that you're going to be creepy sometimes. It's just the way it is. But if
Yeah.
you have the right energy about it, everyone's going to become your ally. Like, I've gone to youth hockey games and like smoked a joint and like been like the only person like cheering along with like my two friends, and it was hilarious and we loved it.
For
So,
sure.
but again, as an example, it doesn't have to be sports. The man that I marry is going to be intelligent. Let me look at speaker series around my city. What
Yeah.
kind of speakers are coming to town that this person would be interested in?
Mm.
And start, going along like that. I mean, if you are across the two rivers from me right now, there's an infinite amount of things that are going on every day.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of kind of, so again, sort of reverse engineering that and taking it upon yourself to do it. having the right energy too, because here's the thing too, wanting something and being perceived as desperate
Yeah.
can be real
Very
close.
fine line for sure.
So the
So how about
goal of both man and woman, what I say is relationship, sex, marriage, these are all side effects. This is not the goal. Because if this is the goal, then you're putting that on a pedestal and unintentionally looking up at it. If they turn around, they're looking down at you. Or looking down, is that the type of person they want to be with? No, because they're busy looking up at somebody else. So the
yeah,
goal
for
is
sure.
not to find somebody. The goal is not to get into a relationship. The goal is not to get married. The goal is to become the type of person that attracts those people to you. And
Yeah.
therein lies that first 180-degree flip, which one, people get annoyed because that means, oh, it's self work. But again, so much of this image is perception. Just like you can tell a guy that's like a skeevy guy, like right off the bat, like we can smell, guys can smell desperation like across the room. And it might not be desperation. It's I'm taking my life into my hands, but it can be perceived as neediness, desperation, chasing for men and women. It's not a gender specific thing. So again, the goal is to become, not to
Yeah.
find.
I agree with
And
that.
so,
It's kind of weird, but when I decided that I was going to go full in on this, I think that I like, all the desperation just disappeared because I'm going in because I actually like learning about myself, and I think that finding a partner is one of the best ways to learn about yourself. Like, some of the best things I've done in my life have been because I was not understanding why I couldn't find someone, and I'm the person I am today, joyful, happy, tons of friends because I've gone to therapists because I didn't have a boyfriend or, like, started these activities or oh my gosh, Hunt, you're just so awesome, and you've given me so much to think about. I mean, when I started this, actually, the very first thing I did was write down my qualities in a partner, and the second thing I did was write down like who I need to become to meet someone like that. And I agree. It's just I feel like there's something like a little bit missing for me in kind of getting clear on who that man is before I meet him.
yeah, like, and I'm just gonna make just a case point, like, and not to continue talking forever because I could.
I
I
would
can
love
talk
that.
for 2 weeks solid without a breath. That's my weakness and my
Keep going
curse.
as long as you have time.
But like, for instance, like let's just call this just this is A line. I'm not saying which side you fall on. I'm like, if you
Mm,
want a man that's 44 and has had not been married and not had kids,
no,
there are certain flags that are going to exist here. If you
for
want a man
sure.
that has had a relationship and or kids, there's going to be flags over here as well too. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of what
Yeah.
is more important to you and what those flags are. And figuring out, both of these men can be viable, but they're going to be very different. And
Mhm.
this one without kids, without a long relationship, not divorced, may not have as many relationship skills. And you may need to joyfully help them along with it. The person
Yeah.
over here does not have time to make you the number one priority. You're always going to be number two priority to kids, which is fine if you're fine with that. But again, and this is what this process, this journey
Mm.
is working with these professionals to help you answer these questions, help you look inside, and then calibrate these things along the way. You know what? I just met that emotionally intelligent, smart man, and I had zero attraction to him. So let me swing the dial a little bit in the opposite direction and see what comes from that discussion.
Yeah, part of his experience. All right, Hunt, what are the best ways for people to find you? This podcast has more male listeners than women for some reason I don't understand. So
I do.
anybody you do okay. I mean, I think people want to learn about the women's experience and,
That
one
helps.
of yeah, one of my most popular episode was just me swiping Tinder and explaining why I was swiping on some people and left on others. I thought it was so boring and people just I don't know.
The
But
you
so
the
tell us
algorithms are always so weird. Same thing, videos I put tons of days of work into, like the blip, and then some that goes off, and you're like, whatever.
oh my
So
gosh,
yes,
okay.
you can find me.
How can we find you?
My company's called Hunt for Advice, and you can
Hunt for
also
advice.
find me on Instagram and YouTube at Quest for Advice. I
Quest for
wanted Hunt for
advice?
Advice, but it was already taken by me. But I couldn't prove that I was me. So I
Oh
couldn't get my
man.
own site, so I had to do another quest for advice. So that was fun. Anyways, I've been outside for 20 years doing this. So if you just Google my name, Hunt Ethridge, you will have hundreds of videos, multiple hundreds of articles. I'd love to chat with you. Reach out to me. If you want to make the year 2026 the year of you, give me a call.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm excited to continue this conversation with you. It's been really helpful.
Thank you so much. Look forward to next time.